Hello everyone and welcome back to our channel. Today is the very first technical video of our series Adding AI to your app. Today we're going to learn how to use ChatGPT to recognize images. And if you like this kind of content, please like the video and don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification button so you never miss out on new content like this. We're going through a step-by-step process where we're going to upload files to our app and get a description of those files from ChatGPT. So stay tuned. In this tutorial, we are going through a very detailed step-by-step guide. So in order to start, you need a Back4App account. You can create a free one by going to www.back4app.com and creating your free account by entering your email in there. And once you got that, you gotta create your first Back4App app. You do that by clicking this new app button up on top here, and we are going to create a backend as a service application. You do that by clicking backend as a service, giving it a good name. I'm going to call mine AI Image Recog and selecting NoSQL database. When you click create, we're going to distribute this application through all the application servers, which can take a few seconds. So just wait for it and you'll be good to go. That my application was created, I can set it up in order to comply with the requirements of the OpenAI API SDK that we're going to use to connect to the OpenAI and use ChatGPT. You can do that by going to App Settings over here, then Server Settings, and in here click Manage Parse Server, click Settings, and choose version 5.2.3, which is the Node.js version needed by the OpenAI SDK. Click Save. Click OK, and this will restart your app. And now that we're here, we can also set our OpenAI API key value so we can use our SDK to make API calls to OpenAI. You do that by retrieving your API key on the OpenAI dashboard, and here click Environment Variables, click Settings, and you can write in all uppercase with underscores separating the words OpenAI underline API underline key equals, and then pasting in your value. Now, most of the times when you copy a value, it will start with single quotes like this or double quotes like this. And here in Back4App, we don't use those. So if your API key starts, for instance, with double quotes, 1, 2, 3, and then closing double quotes, you gotta remove those double quotes and leave just 1, 2, 3. Now I'm going to paste my API key in here, saving by click the save button, and I'll be right back with you. And now that we've got our API key set, I'm going to create the classes that are going to hold our photos and the descriptions that OpenAI and ChatGPT will translate to us based on the photos. So I'm going to the database browser here, and I'm going to add a new class. Choose a custom class, and in this case I'm going to create a public one so I don't have to authenticate to save new records, and I'm going to call this upload with a capital U. Click create class and add columns, and the first column I'm going to create is a file so I can hold the photo. So I'm going to scroll down, click file, and I'm going to call this photo. Click add and continue. And the second one will be a description, which is going to be a string. So I'm going to leave it as a string and call it description. Click add. And now here is my upload class with my photo as a file and description as a string. And we're going to use this to upload our files, and then once they are uploaded, we're going to change the description based on what ChatGPT answers us. And now it's time for us to start coding, so let's go to see some Cloud code. In order to get to my Cloud code section and write some code, we have to click Cloud code, and then go to Functions and Web Hosting. And in here, we're going to mainly operate in the main.js file. But since we're going to use a npm module from OpenAI, which is available at npmjs.com, I need to install that module first. We'll do that by creating a new file, by clicking New File over here, and calling this file package.npm. .json, and the name must be exactly this for this to work. So when I hit create file, my package.json file opens up here, already selected, and in here we have a very specific format that we have to match in order for our application to download and install the module for us. So we're going to open and close curly brackets, and inside this we're going to create a string called dependencies between double quotes, and this is a JSON formatted file, so we're going to put 2 points like this and open a new curly brackets, and inside here we're going to specify the modules that we want. In my case, I want to use the OpenAI module, so I'm going to put as a string OpenAI like this, and then once again put 2 points like this, and then I can specify the version that I want by using another string. If you want to have always the latest version installed, all I have to do is put an asterisk in here and you're good to go. So when you click deploy, this will download the module, install everything in the correct places for you, and at the very end restart your app, so this module will be available for you to use. So click OK, got it. And a very good place for you to see if this operation worked is going to the logs over here. If you don't see any errors in here, you can update this a few times. I don't see any errors. It means your module worked and it is now ready for you to start using in the main.js file, which is where we're going to start writing our code. Back to my Cloud Code section and open the main.js file. There is some sample code here that I'm going to delete because we are not going to need it. And the way I thought this example is we're going to create a after save trigger for our upload class. A Cloud Code trigger is a piece of code that automatically runs every time something happens in that specific class in your database. And after save runs the code every time a new record is correctly saved into the database. So every time I save a new record, it's going to run this piece of code. And the very first step for us to start is to instantiate the OpenAI SDK that we just downloaded. So I just deleted this sample code from main.js file, and in here I'm going to write const OpenAI equals require OpenAI. This is enough because all the settings and locations were correctly set from our platform, so everything is already in the correct places. All I have to do is to instantiate the module like this and you're good to go. Now it's time for us to configure this by using the API key that we set on the dashboard priorly in this video. We'll do that by typing const OpenAI equals new OpenAI with capital case that we just created over there. And this has a open and close brackets like this. And in here we're going to pass in a JSON object just like we did in the package.json file. So I'm going to open curly brackets like this and set API key 2 points and then process dot env dot and then my variable name. If you remember, I put it OpenAI underline API underline key. Now this is good to go, and if you have more options you can just put a comma and keep adding options down below it, as many as you need. All the options available for you to set the OpenAI keys are available on the documentation for the OpenAI SDK. And with that done, I'm going to click a few enters, and here I'm going to start writing my code, which is my after save trigger. We'll do that by typing parse.cloud.after save, and between brackets we're going to set the name of the class where we want to operate. In our case, in our database, we created a class called upload, so I'm going to put here upload. And just to illustrate this, I'm going to put a comma, async, so we can make asynchronous operations inside this function. And I'm going to receive a request that I'm going to arrow function to my code. So curly brackets, so I have my piece of code that I can run, and every time something happens in my upload class, everything that is inside this function is going to be run. So just to show you an example, I'm going to console log this has worked. Semicolon there, click deploy. This will once again restart my app. There we go. And back to my database, if I just try to create a new upload in here, so I'm going to put a description called hello world, and hello is misspelled. There we go. Hit enter, click add. It was saved, and now I can check my console log by going to Cloud Code again, logs, and clear this. And if we just wait a few seconds and keep refreshing this, at some point we should see our logs. Now logs can take a while to show up, so it's important that you keep trying, but eventually you'll see this has worked over here. And there we go, this has worked. So now every time I add a new record in my upload class, that piece of code is going to be executed, and it's exactly there where we're going to submit our image to OpenAI and retrieve the description so we can save it on our class. Back to my main.js file, I fixed the typo here. I has written OpenAI instead of OpenAI. I just fixed this. And it's time for us to actually start working our logic inside our after save trigger. And there is a catch here. The after save is going to be triggered every time something changed and is saved into my upload class. And we only want this to run if the photo has changed. If we also leave it for the description, we'll end up entering an infinite loop, because you save the photo, then we make a request to OpenAI, we get response back, and then we change the description. This also triggers the after save trigger. It's going once again to upload it to OpenAI, receive a response that is going to update our description, and save it again, triggering the after save trigger. So we enter an infinite loop situation. So we want to check if the photo has been changed but not the description. And I'll show you how to do that. So first we're going to remove this console log over here, and we're going to extract the request object from this request that's being passed to our code. We do that by typing const upload equals request object, and be sure to write object with a lowercase o, because this object is another keyword for other operations, so just leave it like that. And in here we are also going to create an if that's going to check if the photo has changed but not the description. So if upload get is how you read properties in our SDK. So get, and our property is named photo. So if I have a photo and not, so I'm going to negate this next part, upload dot get description. I'm going to execute this piece of code, else I'm going to execute this one. So if I have a photo and don't have a description, this first part is going to be run. Otherwise, if I do have a description or if I don't have a photo, this other piece will run. So if I don't want to send, all I have to do is to log something to the log so I know that this code wasn't called. So console log either no photo or photo and description not running. And inside here I'm going to write all the logic that's going to send the information to OpenAI. But it's very useful to us to already have everything that we need to send separated, so it's easier for us to construct the object that's going to be sent. So I'm going to start by creating a photo object. So const photo file equals upload dot get photo, and from this I can extract the URL. Now I could do this in just one line or even call it directly to OpenAI, but as this is a tutorial aiming also for junior developers, I'm going to separate everything as much as I can so it's easier for you to understand. I'm not passing the actual photo to OpenAI, I'm going to pass in the URL for the photo that we just saved, and we have to extract this URL from this photo file. So const photo URL equals this photo file dot URL. And now in this object I have the URL that I'll be sending to OpenAI. Now in the next section I'm going to show you how to submit this data, which can be quite complex, but I'll try to simplify as much as I can. So stay tuned for the next chapter. So for this next chapter, I just opened the OpenAI Node API library here on npmjs.com, so you can see that everything that you need to configure is correctly described and very accurately described over here. I really recommend you that you go to this website, the link is in the description of this video, and take a look on everything that you can set, because there are so many powerful options that can make your life so much easier. So I really recommend that you read this through before proceeding. But anyways, let's go back to our code, open our main.js file, and here we're going to actually create the request that's going to return the description to us. And this is once again a JSON object that we're going to submit to OpenAI. So we have to correctly configure it so it knows exactly what to do. So let's start coding by const response. This is the response that we're going to get back from OpenAI equals. I'll wait because this is an asynchronous operation, which means I send the data in, wait for it to be processed there, and then I get a response back. And then OpenAI, ensure it's the lowercase one, not this uppercase one. So OpenAI dot chat, because we're going to interact to ChatGPT through chat. So chat dot completions, and it's plural, completions, not completion, dot create. And inside here we're going to pass in our JSON object containing a lot of data. So let's open curly brackets and start typing. The very first option we're going to set is the model that we want to use. I'm going to use GPT-4o or GPT-4 Omni, which is the latest and greatest model from OpenAI. So model, and then GPT-4o. Then put a comma so I can keep on passing parameters. The next one is messages. Messages contain all the data that I'm going to pass into ChatGPT. So messages, remember this is also plural, not message, but messages, and this is an array. An array in JSON is declared like this. And let's move a few spaces from here and we're good to go. And the very first object inside this array is also an object, so let's open curly brackets like this, and we're going to pass in the role. The role means if you're going to send context or actually act as an user. I'm sending it as an user, so role user, put a comma over here, and then I'm going to pass in the content that I want to tell, which means exactly what I want ChatGPT to do. So content, and this is also an array, so let's put it like that. Here inside content, I'm going to have two distinct objects. The first one, so let's open curly brackets like this, is where I'm going to tell exactly what I want ChatGPT to do. So I'm going to pass in some text, so we have to type and then put text, comma, and then I'll pass in the instructions telling what I want to do. So text and Please describe this image accurately using up to 100 characters. And this is what I want ChatGPT to do. Now I'm going to pass in the second object, which is the actual URL for my image. So that is composed of a type, which is going to be image underline URL, comma, and there is an extra character over there. And then I have to pass in the URL that we retrieved up here. So image underline URL, and by the way, this is all in the documentation I just showed you. All you have to do is to see the options that you have available over there. So image URL, and this is also an object, and the very first parameter for this is URL. And in here we're going to pass in our photo URL. Let's clean this up a little bit, remove a few spaces, and it seems we are good to go. Now, once I send this in, I'm going to retrieve a response from ChatGPT, and I need to interpret that response. We'll do that by typing const description equals response, which is my response over here. And this will be an array of choices, so choices, index 0, so I want the very first choice of the array, dot message, dot content. And this is also described on the documentation I just showed you. And with that description set, which is the description of what I have in my photo, I'm going to set my description in my database. So we'll do that by typing upload, which is our object, dot set. Set is how you set values into Backrub. I'm going to pass in the property name, which is description, and then the value that I want, which is this description over here. And with that done, all I have to do is to save this object. So I'll wait, upload, dot save. And we can also print some messages over here if you want. So for instance, console log up description updated. We're going to deploy this. And it's finally time for us to test. Finally, back to our database browser, into our upload class, I'm going to add a new row. And in here in the photo, I'm going to upload an image. So I'm going to choose this test image that I have, which has the Statue of Liberty. And in here, I'm going to click open and finally click add. Wait a few seconds. And once the upload is done, you'll notice the description is still undefined. It's because you have to reload this. If you click reload, there you go, this is the Statue of Liberty. So this is how you make image recognizing into your app by using ChatGPT. Don't miss out our new contents that we're going to be releasing with new features like recognizing audio, translating into multiple languages, and also image generation. Stay tuned and please click like and subscribe if you like this content. See you soon. Bye bye.